I was going to talk about football, but, you know, water, I believe, Mayor, I've shared you with some water issues and stuff like that. I think we ought to build a city lake, but that's just my opinion, because in 2050, water is going to be expensive. Wars will start over water. The Euphrates River, the Nile River, stuff. Anyway, that's all neither here nor there, other than the fact that if you remember all the Westerns, it was always about water rights, you know, and they were killing people over that. So, you know, football, one of the things that I've made a fact to do is to kind of keep up with what you people do, know a little bit about you so that there'll be no repeat of what happened in 2010 when people said we didn't see it coming. So, you know, Councilmember Hill here, you know, he defeated a sitting council member. Councilmember Matthew, I believe you're the first person that was born in another country. Am I correct? Councilmember John grew up in Guam, which is probably smaller than Coppell. Councilmember Neville's, and you were in the Navy too on a carrier. Councilmember Neville's was under Scott Mason, which I went to high school with. You won your first election in runoff with 12 votes. I remember that day. I don't know anything about you, Mr. Carroll, to be honest with you. And I believe Jim Walker, not to bring up things, but Councilmember John beat you one time. But so football's a big deal in Texas. You know, there was a time when water made you weak. Coaches hit people. They did a lot of stuff that they don't do today. And we used to have this thing that people would do, and I asked for just a 30 extra minute or so, is that you would take the worst player on your team and have them go hit somebody to try, a receiver, and try to knock. And of course they get kicked out, but you know, then you take a second worst player on your team and do this again.
Mr. Burrows, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Can I finish the story? Because it revolves around Cliff Long. Okay, so there was a different time and place. Coaches were like God, you know. They hit players, water made you weak, you know, all sorts of stuff. Maybe some of you went through that, maybe some of you did not. Coaches would be put in prison today if they did what they did when I was in high school. Well, you know, Cliff Long did some other things in life besides get elected to council 3 times with 17,000 votes and all that other good stuff. Do you know the man was all district and as a receiver? And this was when people could come in, we called it hearing footsteps in football. You would, again, you'd get that worst person to hit and they'd get thrown out. But you do this 2 or 3 times and the receiver now is hearing footsteps. Somehow Cliff Long managed to not hear the footsteps. And I'm not sure many, you know, people will say, well, what does football have to do with life? Well, sports has a lot to do with life, you know. And so I don't know if any of you people that are, I guess, his friends know this about him, but I do. And there was Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, started in 1961. I believe he was all district in 1959. So anyway, just for the fact, he laid his body out for what he believed on. So
thank you for your comments and thank you for being here tonight.